Testing. Are we good for the podcast? I think we are. I should hold it closer like this. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the Double the Sparkles podcast.
Hello, I'm Double.
I'm Sparkles. That was probably way too loud.
Was it?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
Anyway, you don't know what we're talking about today. Like last time. Just assume from now on that if I want to talk about something that, is not, happy, fun times, that I'm not going to tell you what podcast is about. Because today we're talking about, how do I put this? We're talking about people being stupid. Okay, so basically what I want to talk about is basically this past weekend, I believe, there was a shooting in El Paso. Have you heard about it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Also, sorry for the audio situation. We're in Jesus' room, and we've never recorded here before, so I'm going to try and be a little quiet because his family is in the other room.
Uh-huh.
And also, Jesus is very tired and is laying on the bed.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah. I'm going to change my earbuds real quick. You can entertain.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. So, if you didn't know, there was a shooting in El Paso, Texas. We live in the DFW Fort Worth area, but more specifically in Allen or Lucas. And from what I've heard, the shooter was from Allen, Texas, and went to Allen High School, which is like 30 minutes from my house, which is a little insane to think about. Also, just as a disclaimer, I'm not going to talk about the shooter's name. I'm not going to show a picture or anything because I don't think the shooter deserves that. You have any thoughts about it? Cool.
I know nothing about the shooting, other than that I acknowledge it happened.
Yeah.
I've been in the hospital with my dad, so I actually have no idea. I didn't watch any news or anything like that.
Yeah, all I watched was Phil DeFranco and my friend texting me, who used to live in Texas with me but is now in Arizona. So anyway, the shooter, I believe, from what my friend told me, he graduated in the same class that I did in 2017, but in Allen, High School, which again 30 minutes from my house, which is a little insane. And from what I heard on Philip DeFranco, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Okay. Anyway, from what I heard, he drove 6 hours to El Paso to shoot up a Walmart, and that is.
But why?
Yeah, but why? And also, condolences to the families. You are in our thoughts and our thoughts, I guess.
I'm so sorry you had to go through such a situation that actually has very little meaning to it. It, I don't even know if it was a hate crime or if it was. I don't know. It seems so random. Like, why?
Okay, and on Phil DeFranco's show, supposedly the shooter, 20 minutes before he shot up a Walmart, he made a post about him being a part of a KKK group and being a white nationalist and stuff like that.
When people do this online, they tend to deframe a whole group of people. A lot of the times, it's not like some white supremacist thing. It usually comes down to a person trying to slander another person or a group.
Yeah, because he said he wants America to be all white and different races being separate and stuff like that, and that's not okay.
But then again, this is exactly the kind of thing that he's aiming for. He wants you to be angry at these people. He wants you to show anger towards this group. Not he's not aiming it for himself. He's aiming he that's exactly why he's doing it. He's doing it to make you angry at, and I'm sorry for this for people who are Republican. Let's be honest. Donald Trump isn't the most friendly towards most races.
And he said in like this post he made before he shot up, he admires Donald Trump and like takes what he knows from Donald Trump and like quotes him and stuff.
This is a big problem, and it shouldn't be like, oh, let's blame Donald Trump for him being who he is. It's more of you're letting people influence you in this direction by simply talking out loud and without thinking. People are starting to figure out that it doesn't matter what they say anymore. As long as you can dethrone someone, it's going to hurt someone for a very long time.
Yeah. So I don't know if I like said the whole story, but he made that post. He went down to El Paso, which is like 6 hours away from here, and specifically showed up a Walmart in like a Hispanic neighborhood just to be like, he was, I believe he was near a border town, and that's why he did it, because he doesn't want immigrants coming into America.
I want to make this as clear as I can make this. There's two type of immigrants. There is an legal, and then there are legal. If you don't know the difference, it's because there is hardly a difference. We as a society are all immigrants. There is no one unless you are Native American, born in the United States before the whole collection of people. And actually, I take that back because the United States consisted of Native Americans and Mexicans, actually, because it was populated by Mexicans before they were considered, you know, everything was divided up and stuff like that. You are essentially saying you think you're better because you think that you were here longer. You're the one who created the nation, but that's like saying you're going into a forest full of native people, like maybe a small tribe of actual indigenous people, putting your flag in the ground and saying this is now my country, and you're trespassing even though they were there first because you think you have authority. It's a years of that going on that is causing a lot of people to get angry. I'm not even mad at white people. I don't care. That's not every white person. It's not every person who thinks that they're superior. It's a person who has so much hatred that they think they have to align themselves with other people who think just the same in order to do something like this.
I was gonna talk about something real quick, but I forgot.
One of the few things I heard while going home was um, on the radio. Donald Trump was making a speech that we need to end racism, we need to end white supremacy, and it sounded great to people who don't have a trained ear. But as a person who can hear between the lines and who can actually understand a fabricated speech, I
Just to say sorry.
no, not even that. No, not even that. That's something that Donald Trump would never say
Yeah, it's just
on his own will.
yeah, he's just making up an excuse to sound okay, but it's not.
No, no, no. That's not it.
Okay, you explain.
What it is that's obviously someone behind the scenes telling him, "Hey, do not say stupid thing I know you're gonna say. We have something here for you to read out. Just read this. If you say anything else, it will not go down well." And you know what? Fair enough. If he, knowing Donald Trump, he would have said something that would make a lot of people angry.
Well, like
But
he
that,
hasn't already.
but that's me being biased. I just don't like Donald Trump because of his personality and his endeavorments towards any race that isn't orange Cheeto puff.
And also, I don't know if you remember this, but like Taylor Swift made an open statement about how she is voting and she is voting for a Democrat because she doesn't like Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump, in like a later interview, was like, "Well, I did like Taylor Swift, but now I don't like her anymore." Haha.
It's the ego trip that Donald Trump lives through that everybody is supporting. Uh, I just don't see it how you could actually have support of a person who is so unsympathetic and is not actually there for the people. He's there for his people. If you can't see that, it's because you're not looking at all. You just see someone who is very charismatic. Like, to be fair, if we have a president is very charismatic, we have JFK as one of the most charismatic uh, ex presidents that we have ever had. It doesn't make up for his inexperience. It doesn't make up for anything that happened during the time in office. Same thing when it goes with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, very charismatic dude, but he was still a bad person on the inside. You got to stop looking at the outside people. Stop looking at the guy who may have made thousands and billions of dollars.
A reality show.
Yeah, yeah. The dude was a fake wrestler on WWE. You're literally getting the person who is scraping money from other people and making him a president because he looks good on a dollar bill. This is ignorance. This was stupidity, and you made a mistake. And you cannot handle the fact that you did. Now, there's things that he does right. There's things that he has made better. I am not a person who just looks towards negativity. I'm not a person who chooses sides. I can understand why Republicans chose him. He's great with the economy. However, he's also an idiot because if it sounds good to him, he'll probably throw thousands of dollars to it, even if it might be a scam. He'd probably be the guy who would open a email from a Nigerian prince, be racist towards the Nigerian prince, and still send him money because he thinks that he's going to win billions of dollars back in return.
Oh, that's what I was gonna talk about. You just reminded me. Okay, so like a few weeks ago, did you hear about the border situation?
No.
Okay, basically, the at border stations along the United States border, the southern border towards Mexico. Basically, there's border stations where they're holding children apart from their families, and the families and the children are being kept in overcrowded, over like it's dirty, it's disgusting, it's overcrowded, it's not okay. Yet Donald Trump and all the Republicans around him seem to think, no, it's fine. I went there a year ago, it's okay. But they're like discrediting these people because they just don't like them. And it makes me mad. You have anything to say?
I probably do, but I just can't think of it right now. I'm half awake.
Yeah, I can tell. Okay, that's side note from what I want to talk about. So basically, after this El Paso shooting, a lot of news outlets and even the fucking president himself, they went on TV and were like, "We need to stop these violent video games from causing these shootings."
Oh, they're going back with that classic. I'm gonna blame it on something else instead of taking responsibility
Yeah.
of being neglectful and not actually taking care of their own citizens.
Yes. Like one news outlet were like, we need to get rid of this Fortnite and from blowing these brains out and Fortnite's violence and bleh.
Well, people tend to forget that as a activity, it's used as a reliever. You don't just. How can I put it? If you're having a stressful day, instead of taking a golf club and smashing things in your house, you go to a range and you play some golf. You de stress yourself in a way that is not violent. But that thing that's not violent can turn violent. That's understandable. However, you gotta understand it's not as if playing a video game makes it bad. Just because you shoot a zombie in a game does not mean that you're gonna go out and shoot a zombie in real life. If that's how you're thinking it works, that's not how it works. You don't play a game and it makes you violent.
Yeah, and I forget what organization it is. I'll put it on the screen, but they made a statement after this and were like, "We've told you multiple, and thousands of times that video games don't influence real life."
There's a separation in a lot of things. Okay, let me give you a amazing example right here. You can play a video game about soccer. You can be the best in that game. You can have a perfect run no matter how many games you play. That does not make you a professional soccer player in real life. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to kick a ball in the game, but that doesn't mean you know how to kick a ball in real life. When it comes down to this, you have to use your brain, not the I want this to be bad because I want it to be bad brain. You gotta go, hey, it has no correlation of my skills outside of that. I play a game called Binding of Isaac about a little kid who uses his tears to kill monsters in his basement. I do not think I'm going to be able to use my tears to kill anything in real life. You can't just assume that because you want it to be a scapegoat. You're
Yeah.
using it as a scapegoat and it's not right.
Yeah, like if you're gonna play Mario, if you're gonna play like Mario or something, you're not gonna go in real life and jump on a turtle or ride a lizard.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It just not equal the same thing of what you want it to be. Violent or not, people are aggressive. We are humans. We evolved from apes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to believe so or not, that's not my problem. Just because you don't want to face reality. We evolved from animals that hunted. We all have that no matter how advanced we get, no matter how smart and more complicated our species becomes, we came from something that had to hunt for food and kill animals. Are you telling me that video games existed back then where we would smash something with a rock because we were bored? It does not make sense. We have always been this way. The games just provide a area of concentration that we can release our anger and we can release our I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's just, a good example. Another good example is Doom. Doom is a game that has been used as like the holy grail of bad influential games to people who are stupid, to people who don't even understand what the game is. When you play Doom, it's a lot of killing, it's a lot of shotgun, your character rips apart monsters with a chainsaw. Now, to a stupid person who does not understand anything about video games, they're like, You're killing things with shotguns and ripping them apart, smashing them in the face, but they don't look at the content. The game literally is about a guy who kills demons. You know, the bad guys, the things that are literally made of evil, the things that are against, all your Christian beliefs, the things that if you had a chance, you probably would kill too, because they're not redeemable. They're not savable, because that's not how that works. It's a violent video game that teaches you that, yes, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you have to get dirty, and that's how things work. It's a relief. If you have violent tendencies, you're going to have that no matter if you play video games or not. There has been cases of people who were violent and has nothing to do with video games. You can't just blame something because you think that it is a good example of a lot of anger.
Yeah, I don't like when kids spend all their time on the computer or on their phones or something. I don't like that, but I can't go up to them and say, "Hey, stop that." That's up to their parents. I can't do anything about that.
I
But
play on my computer all the time. That's the one thing in my life that I have that I can say I have. That's for me. I bought that myself. I did it because I want to spend my time that way. However, if I didn't have my computer, I would find somebody else equally the same. If I was outside all the time, I would probably play sports. If I would probably build a barn, I would probably mess with tools. Does that make me a carpenter? Does that make me a soccer player? Does that make me anything more than I want to be? I play a lot of video games, and to be fair, most of my video games are friendly games. Gardening, farming, building. Are you telling me a kid playing Peppa Pig is gonna be a kid that goes around shooting people? Because that's a game. Peppa Pig might be a TV show, but they have a game. So does that make them evil as well? Are you telling me that as a person who lives off of Animal Crossing, are you telling me that I'm violent because I like to give gifts and I like to spend time with friends in the game? I must be a horrible human being then, right?
because you're not spending time with people in real life.
People have to understand it's not the same. There's different ways to spend your time, and there's different realities in our minds. It's a weird thing to go off on, okay? But we don't all have the same brain functions.
Mhm.
Some people are autistic. Their brains, they work way more than ours. Whether it's good or bad, just because they have higher brain function and they have um what's the word?
OCD?
Yeah, OCD functions, doesn't mean that they can't comprehend the same thing as we do. I have a little brother who has uh, Asperger's. He has a clear
Sorry.
he has a clear love for certain things. He might be an ass, but he's not a bad person. This doesn't make him a bad person.
Mhm.
He's not gonna pick up a gun and shoot people because he knows better. He knows what that can do. A kid, a kid who has a kid who can grow up to be a murderer, it starts in their teen years. And this is what I'm thinking
It
a lot
even
of people.
starts in their kid years.
It's less in their kids' years. That's when their brains are developing.
Yeah.
And it's really in their teenage years where everything that a parent does is influential. Kids will pick up if their father is an alcoholic. Kids will pick up things from their mother, say if their mother curses a lot. Hey, their mom can be alcoholic too. if you think that all kids are going to be the same, take my life as a example. I grew up with a family who wasn't the best. I was neglected a lot. I was forgotten sometimes. For my whole high school years, I was left in my room by myself, even on my birthday. It didn't infect me. It didn't make me a murderer. It didn't make me into a person who wanted revenge. Instead, as a smart kid, I would actually focus myself on bettering myself. I wasn't afraid to do the things I wanted to do. Not because I was a rebellious child because I played video games all the time. It was more of wanted to grow up to be who I wanted to be. I want to take care of people and make sure their lives are much better than before I met them. I must be a horrible person because I played video games for most of my life to cope with being alone all the time. So I must be a murderer, right? Even though I have a clean record of, never being in jail, never getting arrested, never did drugs, never did. I'm not a drinker, not a smoker. So I must be a horrible person, right? Because of video games.
Yeah, it's just I don't like it when people are blaming other things when it's clearly another thing.
So the whole actual problem with this person is not video games. It's not even their home life, maybe. It could be in part of them growing up and them having a family that was anti race. They didn't like other people, whether it was race, gender, or religion. However, we don't know that. Their parents probably could have been as open as everybody else in the world should be. Caring, uh, not just labeling people because of their color or their skin. We don't know that. Maybe he was just a influenced by an uncle. Maybe we don't know. But what we do know is that we don't know.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just get annoyed by that stuff. Like, that's why I wanted to talk about it. I was waving the white flag again. I know I said only once a month or something, but I had to do it again.
Oh, well, the whole thing, the doom thing, was brought up this morning with myself. Anyways, um, it was a weird thing. I just was sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, people are always blaming video games for something that video games have nothing to be involved with.
Mhm.
You don't even know if the kid even played video games. How do you? Why are you gonna assume?
I heard one news outlet lady saying like, "Oh, he plays 6 hours of video games a day."
That's way too tame. There's some people who dedicate their lives to playing video games all day.
Did you hear about that one kid that was like 16 or something? He won the World Fortnite Championship.
I don't follow Fortnite.
Me neither.
I don't. I don't. I don't like Fortnite. Not because of it being a bad game. It it's just not my thing anymore. I
Hmm.
actually supported Fortnite when it first came out.
I think it's overhyped now.
Well, this is not a Fortnite discussion podcast. I don't think I ever want to do one.
Yeah.
But to set it straight, the only reason why I supported it was for its PVE, and it was neglected, and it was the game favored the whole battle royale thing instead of what I actually paid for. Yes, I paid for Fortnite
Why?
because I was actually trying to play the PVE part instead of the PvP.
Do you have to pay for the PVE part?
Well, when it first came out, it wasn't free. I don't
Oh,
think I still don't think it's free. I think you still need to pay for it.
no.
I think that's the only reason why anybody even plays Fortnite, because it was free.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been going on for 30 minutes.
I know, it's my mistake. I shouldn't got into a big speech about something that shouldn't matter too much. That's like blaming bakeries for people being fat. That's a stupid thing to think about. Like,
Mhm.
it's a choice. You don't become fat because of some other influence. You become fat because you can't control yourself.
Mhm.
Control yourself instead of blaming others.
Yeah, and take responsibility for what you know is wrong instead of blaming it on something else.
In layman's terms, don't blame the bank because you spent all your money in your bank account. Doesn't matter what you think, it was on you, not the bank.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're done for now. That was kind of a serious-ish podcast. We kind of pulled away for a minute, but I think we've been recording for long enough. This will be a long podcast, but we still hope you enjoyed kind of. I know it was serious like last week, but I just really wanted to talk about it. Hello.
Hmm.
I want to say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. We'll see you next time.